the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps, and I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to the show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. As well, I apologize, it's been quite a while since the last episode. I've been busy with the jobs and everything, the multiple jobs, popped out a couple of mysterious adventures lately. And of course, yes, the last couple of weekends I've been really working on the Timberwolves Explosion and Brave the Wild podcast, trying to get those season previews out. So if you like local sports, Minnesota, Minnesota sports, the Minnesota Wild or the Minnesota Timberwolves, there you go. Check those two podcasts out if you like, or either one of them if you like only one or the other. Otherwise, yes, that's part of the reason I've been kind of busy hacking those out while working the two jobs and everything, and even popping out some mysterious adventures, as that one had been on a bit of a hiatus going back into mid-August. So it is what it is. I'm a busy son of a gun. So, and of course, unfortunately, No Kings protesters have been very busy as well. Another one of the things that really you just come to the conclusion, it seems like the only solution the left really has to anything is to complain. Just complain. That's what they like to do, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's just politics in general, whether it's pretty much anything, like just to get their way, and you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and no matter how much you give them, they're going to continue to complain. They get up, they complain. They go to bed, they complain, and when they dream about complaining. That's about it. And of course, this whole No Kings thing, it's a complete joke. And yet every left-wing politician seems to be supporting it in a huge way. At least most of them, especially locally, it's a huge thing. Even up in Duluth, what the heck, guys and gals? What are you doing, people? But locally as well, you have Tina Smith, you have others locally. It's sad, it's embarrassing, and my response to them pretty much is, and I've responded to the local politicians that have been applauding, like very proud of our state of Minnesota and everything. And, my response to them is, he's the best president since Ronald Reagan, and you're complaining about him. You're protesting him. Aren't you ashamed? That was pretty much my response. Or, what's wrong with you, basically? Of course, they're not going to respond, and the only people that do will just be the left trolls out there that love to be left trolls or give you the laughing emojis or the whatever. So that's just what kind of people they are. And that's just the unfortunate fact that we're living in a divided country because of, I've talked about it several times. The country was united in the days of Reagan in the 1980s. Obviously, there was some hard left people that wanted somebody other than Reagan, like Michael Dukakis. Michael Dukakis going back to the Bush era. But that was obviously Reagan voters that voted for H.W. Bush. That's why he got elected in 88. That was all Reagan voters because we figured it's the Reagan administration continuing. Unfortunately, that was not the case. But yeah, like a Dukakis in 88, a Walter Mondale in 84, and of course Jimmy Carter was the incumbent way back in 1980. And yeah, man, he lived a long life, so proud for him in that sense. But unfortunately, even though he's a good Christian man, he went very south, pardon the pun, politically over the course of his life. But also, again, the country was very united all the way up to the year 1988, and things started to gradually become more and more divided once H.W. Bush took over, because he was an agent of the New World Order, big time agent of the New World Order and the CIA and all of these other secret societies out there. Skull and Bones, you could name them pretty much. CFR, all of that nonsense. The country started to become more and more, gradually divided. Then the Rodney King stuff happened and all of that. And then, of course, it's like, of course, Clinton's going to get elected. And the division kept getting worse and worse under Bill Clinton. The division kept getting worse and worse. Some of his policies and just more, and letting in more and more of groups of people that would rather divide this country than help it, honestly. Just kind of let in more and more people that really don't like this country. They're just here to kind of take and abuse the country, regardless of where they're from. Because obviously it's several different countries. It's not just one country from here or one country there. It's a lot of countries that are pretty much here to, work the system. And then obviously that continued under Clinton. George W. Bush took over. He was pretty much a fake Republican, kind of kept the borders open and just kind of kept things going as is, but just had an R next to his name and went to war, which also was divisive, unfortunately. And that kind of continued and continued and continued, all just kind of a manipulation to keep the Christian conservatives at bay. Like, oh, yeah, you got your Republican president. Isn't he wonderful? Yeah, well, maybe it seemed like it the first 2 years or so, and then it's like, okay, maybe this wasn't a good idea, going to war and all of that. See, everything seemed like it was getting united again after 9/11, but it was all just kind of being used and abused. And, well, 9/11 is a whole nother story all in itself as to what really happened there. Very interesting. Obviously, yes, Muslim, whether what religion they were, terrorists hit the buildings with airplanes, but the airplanes were not supposed to make buildings literally just like turn into a pile of dust going downward. That was didn't make a whole lot of sense. There had to be explosives involved with that one. Outside of the airplanes, that was kind of the charade allowed by the New World Order, and the New World Order continued its plan was there: divide and conquer this country, temporarily uniting us to increase security and divide and conquer. Continuing into Obama, you talk about dividing the country. I mean, there were prophecies about how getting Obama in office is going to unite all the races. We're going to all unite. We're going to get along so much better now. And Obama's going to really unite everything. And he did the absolute opposite. He poured gas on the fire. Poured gas on the fire, pardon me for my bad English there, unintended, but poured gas on the fire, basically, which there is in front of me right now. This is another Fire Pit episode, by the way, which is wonderful. I love these. I hope you don't mind them too much. But yes, poured gas on the fire, and the country is 10 times more divided. So anytime a Reagan-like of president would come back, possibly like a Donald Trump, whereas Reagan, maybe with a little extra attitude, basically is what Trump is. A little more of, more willing to troll on Twitter and such than a Ronald Reagan would be doing if Twitter was around in Uncle Ronnie's days. Oh my gosh, there's not going to be any unity here, that the left would go insane with the possibility of somebody like that in office. And that's pretty much where we're at. Thankfully, a good number of the left realized it's all BS. And it's been BS for the last 40, 50, 60 years. Like great football players that were voted Democrat their whole life, like Lawrence Taylor. And he said, not anymore. Obviously, the great wide receiver with New England Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tampa Bay Bucks, and others, Brown. Obviously, he came around and he was on our side as well. Thank you very much to him. Obviously, a great receiver. Tom Brady has been kind of quiet the whole time, so you never know what's going on there. But oftentimes the quieter people are usually more probably on our side. They just don't want to take on all the insanity from the left. because anytime you say you support Trump, basically the left goes insane. You support whoever, you're usually running your big mouth and, showing the whole world that you're the biggest liberal ever, and that's wonderful. Great, I guess. That's kind of where things go there. But that's pretty much where we're at with this whole no kings thing, just because Trump might do some executive orders just like Joe Biden, or, well, people controlling Joe Biden is more accurately described, because Joe Biden didn't even know what he was signing. He said it himself under his breath very early in his presidency. He said, I don't even know what I'm signing. He even did the, like really quietly under his breath. I don't even know what I'm signing. It was pretty funny. That was pretty much Joe Biden's presidency. Executive order after executive order. So really, like, call a spade here. When you create all of this division and you control, you put basically like a puppet, because his mental facilities weren't what they used to be, so to speak, in Joe Biden's case. You could control him and put all these radical, crazy executive orders in place. So then when the next person in line, who happened to be robbed of the presidency before, comes back to office, and he dares, and I mean dares, to undo those previous executive orders with his own. He's a king now. He's a king. He's ruling over you. He's not a president anymore. He's a king. It's a monarchy. He's the king. He's this evil king who's trying to dominate over us all. Really? And you know what's the best part, which a lot of people are laughing their butts off at right now? London protests saying, London, no kings. London. Protesting Trump, no kings. It's like America's just terrible because we put a king in office. London, no kings. You heard that, right? So what do they have in England again? Let's see, a king. That's kind of how they think. They don't. That's the problem. They don't think. Just like tearing down Abraham Lincoln's statue in a BLM protest. Tearing down Ulysses Grant's statue in a BLM protest. Why don't you tear down Martin Luther King while you're at it, too? I mean, I think they even did something like that, didn't they? He wasn't black enough for them or something crazy like that. It's like, what were they thinking? The proper response is they weren't. And that's what a friend of mine many years ago, when we worked in the service industry, me and my friend Tony, were working, older guy, older than me anyway. Like, we're both older, I guess you could say. When we were joking about what were they thinking, and he said, they weren't, Joe. That's the problem. Now, his politics probably aren't the same as mine, but we were talking about other type of things at the time, like the way the store was being operated. Because a lot of people working in the service industry are very frustrated with how things are managed, usually because it's a lot of things don't make sense in this world. No matter where you work, it feels like the higher-ups don't give a crap about you, and yeah, I understand. But the left, what were they thinking, or what are they thinking? They're not. They're not thinking. They're just protesting. That's what they're doing. They're tearing down statues because it's fun, I guess. Somehow tearing down a statue makes you some kind of freedom fighter or something. Because that statue must be, I don't know, it must be an evil white man. No, Ulysses S. Grant risked his life and shortened his life for the ancestors of the people you're pretending to represent in your protest. You know what I'm saying? That's what Ulysses S. Grant did. Abraham Lincoln. They tore down Abraham Lincoln's statue. Remember all that? Remember? That's how these people think. They don't. Abraham Lincoln was shot and killed. Shot in the head and killed. Because, well, he wrote the Emancipation Proclamation, and, obviously that ended up being a big part of the Civil War. It wasn't the original start of the Civil War. It was because the South wanted to basically separate themselves from the North, because they didn't like the way Lincoln and previous administrations may have been running the country. They wanted to separate themselves from the South. That doesn't make them right, or from the North, pardon me. That doesn't make them right. There was division in the country at the time. And then obviously, but then that other part became a huge, the Emancipation Proclamation became a huge part of the war as well. Regardless, one way or another, they did fight for the freedom of the slaves, of what were slaves at the time, the slaves, which were, in a lot of cases, ancestors of some of the people that were being represented in these protests years ago and still up to this day. BLM, Antifa, and all that. Their ancestors, like great-great-great-grandparents or whatever. However many generations it would be, going back to the 1860s and earlier. They're not thinking. They're not thinking. Just like, again, like no king's protest in England as well, or it doesn't make any sense. The U.S. Embassy in England, no king's protest. Yeah, America, you can't have a king, but we do. Wait a minute. But at the same time, we don't have a king. It's a president, and he's not the king. And he said it a million times, too. I'm not a king. It didn't make any sense. But one of the great tweets of all time, I can pull it up here. Donald J. Trump tweets out a huge thank you to all the No Kings protesters yesterday, and that would be today as well. I was very concerned a king was trying to take my place, but thanks to your efforts, your tireless efforts, I am still your president. Great job, all. And then the American flag. Doesn't get better than that, does it? Doesn't get better than that. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I love it. And how can you not love it? How can you not love it? Well, you must be on the left if you don't love it. And you know what? It's 1,000% okay to be a Christian conservative, spirit-believing Christian conservative. And you don't have to agree with every single thing Trump says and does. I don't agree with every single thing he does or says, but I'm very happy he's the president compared to any of the alternatives. Any type of Bush-type Republican, which would do nothing good for this country whatsoever, would probably push us deeper into government control via, security and such, ultimately a new world order. And on the left, well, it's just the same damn thing, along with taking any ounce of morality left that might be remaining in this country and basically throwing it into a big giant fire pit or bonfire or hellfire, whatever the hell it is. Pardon my French, pardon the pun. Ooh, off in the distance, you know what I just heard? It's talking to me somewhere. Yeah, there's been an owl here for years, actually, since I first moved in 7 years ago in this Golden Valley apartment. There's an owl. There's always been an owl off in the east. Often, several times you can hear it in the night. It's interesting. Must be a family of them or something. It's pretty cool. But sorry for that distraction. But it's, I don't know. I mean, it's sad to think that so many people keep buying this BS. It is nice to know that a lot of people stopped buying it, and that's the reason Trump got elected, because a lot of people stopped buying the BS. Enough people did. Enough people in the inner city said that was enough. Absolutely enough of this nonsense. That's in a lot of ways. That's why I thought it seemed like lilacs were reblooming everywhere around these parts. It was a very warm autumn last year, and lilacs were reblooming for a second time, which I'd never really seen anything like it. They were everywhere, and I was thinking, is this God's message saying he's going to give us another chance here with Trump? Is he going to give us another chance with Trump rather than let the country go deeper into the hole here? Spiritually, emotionally, everything. Spiritually, everything. Faith, family, and finances. It's going to go deeper and deeper down into the hole of God knows what, into the black hole. With just continuous, ultra left being in office, retrobates being in office. So that's what it seemed like. And then this year, it's not been as spectacular of an autumn as last year, but still a pretty good one for the most part. And I am seeing reblooming lilacs again for some reason, mostly around the very large bushes around the highways, not the ones in the yards that I've been cutting, Where last year it was basically every lilac bush had something regrowing again. It was pretty amazing. So whereas like the very large ones by highways, you're seeing reblooming there again, and it's like late October here. What's today? The 18th that I'm recording this episode. So pretty wild how it's kind of happening again. And I know it's not completely unprecedented, but the size, the magnitude of of last year was pretty amazing. That's why I thought it might have been some kind of like a message from God. Maybe it was. I'm not sure, but it sure felt like it in a lot of ways. And then Trump got elected, so that was pretty cool. To say it bluntly, that was pretty darn cool, honestly. With that said, I haven't been hearing from people at all anymore, and I miss it. I really do. Gerald calls in sometimes, and I really appreciate him. I mean, Gerald coming in out of South Dakota, he's an amazing guy, salt of the earth, love him to death. Really. Mark Carlson, same thing, coming in out of Iowa. Pardon my talking too fast here. It's like I talk like I'm from Louisiana or something. When I don't mean to. I'm not from Louisiana. I am from Golden Valley, Minnesota. So, just a semi-shy guy from Golden Valley, Minnesota, with a radio voice and hopefully a radio personality as well. But it would be nice to hear from you some more, even just obviously comments on images or whatever, or just your own personal comments like Mark used to do. I know he was tired of Facebook and how it seemed like half the stuff he says doesn't even show up because they're just, jackasses. They're the fascists. They're the kings. The Facebooks and such are the kings, not Trump. Not Trump. He's not suppressing your speech. But social medias are the real kings. These social media apps and such are the real kings. You want to say no kings? Go protest in front of Facebook headquarters. Why don't you do that? Why don't you go to Blue Sky, your beautiful Blue Sky that you've put up there, where it's all just a bunch of division and nonsense and it's so happy and wonderful. No, it isn't. You're a bunch of haters. You're garbage. At least Elon Musk opened up free speech more on Twitter again, where that was a fascistic page. That was your king. Those are your kings you should be protesting. No kings. Let people talk. Dang it. So it's all just a bunch of bull. It's all just a bunch of bull, and I hope you're not falling for it, because I'm sure the heck not, for so many reasons. These gigantic, these tech giants are the kings, not Donald J. Trump. Okay? Not Vance either. Obviously not Vance. He's not the prince or whatever. It's the tech giants. Those are your real kings. Honest to God, they are. And that's all I got to say about that. Good luck to me now, obviously, if I mention any podcasting tech giants like the one this is on. One of the 2 or 3 that it's on are massive tech giants. The others are smaller. Yeah, well, it is what it is. With that said, they're coming for me. Can you hear? No, they better not be. I don't think so. With that said, I don't know if you can hear police in the background and fire trucks or whatever the heck it is. Man, it's scary, isn't it? It's intimidating. It's a lot of sound. What is that? I'm hearing a very odd change there. Weird. I'm sorry. Sorry, that was very distracting. But I'm wrapping up the show anyway. I'm literally wrapping it up, but I'm getting distracted by these odd sounds in the background. Oh, man. Anyhow, don't worry, it's not ghosts or paranormal activity. And it stopped. Woo-hoo! Interesting. Wow. With all of that said, thank you so much for listening to the show. Please share it with your friends. Please do. Please share it with your friends. Continue to stay We Can Do Better Minnesota. Luckily, I did see a lot of Jacob Frey signs out. That's a Democrat, a radical, awful Democrat signs. And I said luckily, right? When I was driving to Lake of the Isles to see the largest tree I've ever seen. I visit it once or twice a year. It's an unbelievable gargantuan size cottonwood tree close to the Lake of the Isles. It's in a park on I don't even know what side it is of the lake. But it's a very nice park, soft baseball field, soccer, all that. And then this massive tree is off in this valley, close to the gigantic water tower. So I guess that would be the east side. Yeah, because the gigantic water tower is kind of basically on the Lowry Hill, if you happen to live in the Twin Cities. Or if you visit, if you're not from here, but you visit sometimes. gargantuan tree down in the valley as you're heading towards the lake, and it's in a park. Biggest cottonwood tree I've ever seen. Biggest tree I've ever seen in person. Like, I'd love to take a picture of, or somebody take a picture of me standing next to it, and you will see just how big that son of a gun is. You could probably drive a car through it. It's that big, and I'm not kidding. It's got to be over 200 years old. It's gorgeous. It's seen everything, man. So probably does go back to the days of slavery. It's that old of a tree. Bare minimum, it's 120, because I know cottonwoods grow faster than other trees, but that tree it's a different level. But with that said, really want to thank you for listening. Please tell your friends about the show and pass it around. Pass it around, share it. God bless you. Thank you. But what I was trying to get to was Jacob Frey. That's why I had a train of thought and I got distracted talking about the tree. Jacob Frey. That's the only sign I saw basically around that area, because that's Minneapolis. Yes, a radical left Democrat, but you know, you might as well take the good with the bad. I'd rather see him stay in office versus Omar Fateh taking over. I did a whole episode about him. Maybe it was a month and a half ago. I think it was in August or July, around there. It might have been July still. But yeah, in the summer, the warm months. I think I was out here burning a fire at the time too, because it was a nicer day. It wasn't one of those super hot, humid days. It was more of a smoky, comfortable summer day type of thing. So, yeah, with that said, we're seeing all those signs. Of course, we saw No Ilhan Omar years ago, and it was his opponent, or her opponent, pardon me. I can't remember the guy's name now. Doesn't matter, though, but his sign was literally everywhere. No Ilhan Omar, and yet Ilhan Omar wins comfortably. It was so frustrating. So it is kind of like a take a good with the bad. Now, if you happen to live in Minneapolis, yeah, Jacob Frey versus Omar Fateh any day of the week. If you happen to live in District 5, you hope for, I think it was somebody, Samuel over Ilhan Omar at the time, but we'll have to wait, I believe, till next year to try to vote her out again. So we're hoping. That lady is surrounded by fraud, nonsense. Everything about her is a lie and dishonesty. So to see her finally lose and disappear, go away, I think it'd be a great day for the state of Minnesota and really for the country, because, you know, she's part of the House. She's a House representative there. And I want no part of her representing us, because she doesn't represent us at all. With that said, again, thank you for listening. Spread it around, 5-star rating, all of that. And take care, God bless, and God bless the United States of America.